Come along, mister. You and I have known each other long enough, please.
We have.
Mr. Chairman, as we come to the end of the football season, the Conservatives are firmly in the drop zone. You've been relegated. Why? Good morning.
Well, look, it's been a disappointing night for us, and we all said that it was likely to be so. And, you know, we've lost good council leaders, councillors, so it's been a difficult night for us overall.
But what do you put it down to?
Well, look, I think in many cases it's local factors. In many cases it's a classic sort of midterm government unpopularity. Clearly, last year was a very difficult year for the whole country, for the whole party. After Putin's invasion of Ukraine, the spike in energy prices, the big rise in inflation, people are still dealing with the consequences of that. What I am clear about, though, is that we've lost some good councillors.
Mr. Hands, you're surely not blaming Vladimir Putin for losing control of Medway Council after 23 years.
Well, I'm saying the backdrop to these elections has not been the best.
Would that be everyone on strike, nurses, teachers, picket lines? Do you think that plays a role, Mr. Hands?
Well, that's, again, driven by the higher inflation. That's one of the reasons why Rishi Sunak and the whole government are getting on with delivering on what we call the 5 priorities, which are halving inflation, restoring growth, cutting the debt, reducing hospital waiting lists, and stopping the boats. You know, those are our priorities. Those are what I think the people's priorities are. That is what we will crack on with delivering.
If you acknowledge, as I'm sure you do as chairman, that the starting point was the historic low bar of the situation of 2019, how is it possible to have sunk even lower?
Well, that isn't. I disagree with the premise in your question. The Conservatives were the largest party of local government going into these elections. There were
your
more
leader
Conservative
quit.
seats.
They were so bad. Your leader quit.
There were more Conservative seats up last night than Labour and Lib Dem seats put together. So clearly the Conservatives had more to lose. What I would say, if I might, Nick, is that Labour under Sir Keir Starmer aren't showing the comprehensive sort of breakthrough that you and I would remember from Tony Blair in 1995. You know, Labour.
You're not seriously seeking to deflect the situation in which you'll find yourself by saying Labour are having a bad night, are you, Mr. Hands?
Well, I'm saying that Labour aren't winning in the sort of places that they need to be winning in, Nick. Like, for example, the Conservatives have gained seats in Peterborough, gained seats in Sandwell,
and lost Medway,
and
lost Windsor. Come along, mister. You and I have known each other long enough, please.
We have, but I'm giving examples of seats that Jeremy Corbyn won in 2017. Jeremy Corbyn won Peterborough. Jeremy Corbyn won West Bromwich. Jeremy Corbyn won Bassetlaw. And Sir Keir Starmer is not winning those places back. The Conservatives gained seats in all 3 of those councils last night. So I'm saying, of course, it's a disappointing night for the Conservatives, but I'm also saying it's not a clear-cut win for Sir Keir Starmer and Labour. Well, in 1995, the year before that, a general election that you and I remember well,
yes,
the Conservatives lost 1,900 seats. Labour gained 1,600 seats. I don't think we'll see anything like that from yesterday's results.
You are chairman of the party. It falls to you now to help rally. And I imagine you regret you've probably lost a lot of very good men and women up and down the country who served as councillors. What will your message be to your party faithful? And what have you already discussed with the Prime Minister?
Well, I haven't spoken to the Prime Minister yet this morning. The Prime Minister's been at Conservative headquarters while I've been on this programme. I'll be saying to the party faithful, it's been a disappointing night. We've lost some really good councillors and really good, well-run councils. But nonetheless, we need to get on with delivering on the priorities of the people. That is what Rishi Sunak is doing, delivering on those 5 priorities of halving inflation, restoring growth, cutting the debt, reducing hospital waiting lists, stopping the boats. Those are the government's 5 priorities. Those are the people's 5 priorities.
If we drill down to some of the local matters here, it's possible that many people voted yesterday because they were crying out for the building of more housing. Now, of course, your party did scrap housing targets. Might this make you reconsider that decision?
Well, there's no immediate need to change government policy on housing. What I am clear on, we are delivering more homes. We've delivered 2.3 million new homes since 2010. The last 2 years have seen a real uptick in house building. So we are delivering homes. We need to be delivering more homes. And that is what the people want us to do.
Why did you scrap the
often,
targets then, Mr. Hands?
Well, because I think the targets, need to have a degree of local consent and local involvement. We need to do things like protect the greenbelt. All of that can be consistent with delivering more homes. We're delivering more homes, 2.3 million new homes since 2010. House building really getting a strong uptick the last couple of years.
If you are looking at a loss of more than 1,000 seats, how would you reflect on yesterday and to last night?
Well, I don't have a specific forecast for you, Nick, and only a quarter of the results have come in. I am quite clear from the early results that it's been a difficult night for the Conservatives, and we will have to reflect on that. Often those are down to local factors, local issues. Clearly, some of our gains last night were down to local factors, local issues. Some really good MPs we've got out there who've seen gains in their area, like Paul Bristow in Peterborough, Sean Bailey in West Bromwich, Brendan Clark-Smith in Bassetlaw, Robert Halfon in Harlow. These are all areas where we've got really good campaigning MPs and great groups of councillors as well.
How do you respond to the projection from the BBC that your party's national share could fall below 25%, which would be the worst local election result for the Conservatives in more than 40 years?
Well, look, I think
I know you're going to say it's not in, but currently we are headed towards that, Mr. Chairman.
Well, look, I'm being quite frank with you, Nick, that it's not been an easy night for us. It's been a disappointing night. But I am saying that within that, I don't think it's been if you like, a really knockout performance from Labour either. They're not doing well in some of the areas they need to gain to be back in government. So I think on that basis, it's going to be all to play for. We're going to carry on delivering on those 5 priorities, delivering for the people.
Lastly, you could say that the last election, general election, the main feature was the red wall and the successes your party enjoyed. The reality now is that your very own blue wall is under threat, isn't it? If the swing to the Lib Dems were to be continued, some of your senior colleagues, such as Dominic Raab, Michael Gove, possibly even the Chancellor of the Exchequer, they're under threat from the Lib Dems, aren't you? You're now defending the blue wall.
Well, look, we take defending our Conservative councils and Conservative MPs up and down the country with the utmost seriousness. We haven't seen a breakthrough for the Lib Dems in the national opinion polls.
They've just taken Windsor, Mr. Hands. That is
that is a regrettable situation for us. I think Andy Johnson, our leader in Windsor, has been a good council leader. We've lost good councillors.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're seeing a breakthrough for the Lib Dems on the national stage either.
But it's a hop, skip and a jump, or indeed a train ride from Windsor down to constituencies in Surrey, constituencies such as those as Dominic Raab, Michael Gove. I put to you again, those big beasts of the Tory party, they are having to defend now the blue wall. You could lose some big names in 12, 16, 18, 20 months' time.
Well, look, I mean, these are all seats that we are fighting hard to win, fighting hard to retain. These are all going to be, Nick, important battlegrounds in next year's general election. The whole country will be an important battleground in next year's general election. That's why we're fighting hard. I've been across some of those seats during the course of this campaign. I've got some really, really good quality Conservative councillors like John Hope, who in Elmbridge Council, really, really good, high-quality Conservative group leader, some great councillors. Will be fighting really hard there over the course of the next year.
Lastly, I know many of your senior colleagues were out campaigning to do as well as they could for the local elections. Where was Boris Johnson?
That's a question better put to Boris. I've always been clear with Boris that he is welcome to be out campaigning with us, back out there. He is a campaigning force. And
did you ask him? Did you want him as part of your Blue Army?
Nick, there's something. Boris, I have a number of conversations with Boris. I've known him for 30 years.
I know you have.
And I'm expecting him to be back out on the campaign trail, not least in his own constituency of Uxbridge and South Ruislip. He's been there campaigning against ULEZ, which is a big feature of the London
he declined to be part of the Blue Army for these local elections, did he? Chairman?
Well, he's been campaigning hard against ULEZ, and that's an important thing against Sadiq Khan's misconceived ULEZ expansion, which I think will have a big negative impact on many of his voters in Uxbridge.
And you're speaking as, of course, a Conservative MP for Chelsea and Fulham on that point. Thank you. You're Chairman of the Conservative Party, Greg Hands. Thank you for your time.